All right, so today we are going to begin a new lesson, that is the last lesson. It is written by Alphonse Daudet. Before uh, reading the lesson, we must read about Daudet. Who is he? He's a French novelist and a story writer. The story, the last lesson, is based on historical background, and we will study the historical background, but first we'll learn about Daudet. So this story is set up in the days of Franco-Prussian War, that is 1870 to 1871. France was defeated by Prussia. Prussia was then led by Otto von Bismarck. You must have read about him in your history, like the formation of Germany. So earlier, Prussia was like Germany was Prussia. Later, it became Germany. So Prussian statesman and first chancellor of Germany was Otto von Bismarck. So Prussia was then consisted of what now the nations of Germany, Poland, and part of Austria. Like before the World War, uh, Germany, Poland, and Austria were part of Prussia. Okay, this story is before the World War One. Okay, now let us get to the historical background. Just a second, I'll share another screen. All right, let us read this part. Now, Daudet came during the age of Second French Empire, 1852 to 1870. It was headed by Emperor Napoleon III, nephew to Napoleon I, ruler of the First Empire. This was a time of expansive economic and cultural growth in France, despite the authoritarian rule under which the society lived, thanks to Napoleon III's effective dictatorship. So it was during the era when Napoleon used to be the emperor there, and it was a time of expansive economic and cultural growth. What do you mean by expansive economic and cultural growth? Like people used to conquer one country or the other country to expand their economic and cultural growth. You might have studied about Napoleon, how he was a brilliant expander. He expanded his economy and stretched the border of France to different parts of Europe. Okay, so that's why a lot of European nations were jealous of him. But the prosperity of the Second Empire, as well as Napoleon's own emperorship, would come to an end with the Franco-Prussian War of 1870 to 71. So during the Franco-Prussian War, Napoleon was defeated. Okay, Prussia consisted of Germany, Poland, and parts of Austria at that time, and it had a growing military power, had imperial ambitions to unify all the independent German states of Europe. You remember German unification, like formation of Germany. So, what was the motive behind that? To unite all the Germans together, like it was the time of formation of nation states. It is there in the class 10, nationalism of Europe, I believe. So that time, everybody was trying to unite their cultural identities. Similarly, Germans were too. Okay. So this was resisted by France, which declared war on Prussia in July of 1870. But France resisted this. Okay. Can you please connect the charger? Okay, it's connected. Yes, yes. So this was resisted by France, which declared war on Prussia in July of 1870. The Prussians, however, were better prepared and organized, quickly invading parts of northeastern France, including Alsace and Lorraine. Now, this Alsace and Lorraine is where Daudet belonged from, like the narrator of the story, the last lesson belonged to. So this the location Alsace and Lorraine, and the plot of the story is set into this location. The French were decisively defeated in 1871, a loss that led to the end of Second Empire and the reign of Napoleon. The war had a deep effect on Daudet, who enlisted in the French army to fight the Prussians, and who went on to engage with and depict aspects of conflict in writings such as The Last Lesson. So he started writing about the political emancipation, and The Last Lesson is part of his, a part of those writings. All right. Now let's move ahead. Uh, Now let's just imagine the title of the story is The Last Lesson. What does the title imply? The last lesson means like you won't learn that lesson again. So the last lesson has a deeper empathizing tone where Daudet is trying to focus on the linguistic chauvinism, which is the main theme of the story. The main theme of the story is linguistic chauvinism. What is linguistic chauvinism? It is taking pride in one's language. It is taking pride in one's language. So the story is based on linguistic chauvinism, and Daudet's emotions are also revealed in the story, where he emphasizes on losing their own cultural identity through the language, because language constitutes your cultural identity, and language depicts your cultural identity. We only connect to our people of our own tribe or our own class through the language. It is prominent in India also. Like we live in a diverse society where we have multilingual people. So you might have often noticed that uh, in the zones like Punjab or Rajasthan or Gujarat, you will find majority of people speaking the dialect that is common, that is Punjabi, Gujarati, or Rajasthani, like that. So that's itself suggests that the cultural identity, people can stay united if they belong to the same language, if they unite as a cultural identity together. And that was one of the most eminent weapons used for nationalism in India as well, like to unite people through cultural identity. The same thing through language. Yes. Now language is something which you have rights on, or like it symbolizes your freedom or emancipation. So just imagine if suppose one day like you wake up and you are asked to just not to speak Hindi anymore, which is your mother tongue. You will be instructed that you have to only speak German or French or any other foreign language, which is not your language. So you will obviously feel bad, or you will obviously feel like distressed, okay, frustrated. You will have agony. So same thing happened with the people of Alsace and Lorraine. Generally, people of Alsace and Lorraine were very like had a like had a style of procrastination. Like they used to procrastinate thing and didn't take their language very seriously. So Daudet also focused on the importance of language. Now, before going deeper into the chapter, I would like to highlight the main themes of the story. The main one of the theme is linguistic chauvinism, or the language as cultural identity. Another one I would like there are other themes also. I would like everybody to take a note of it. Now, in this story, it was written in 1873. It was written in Paris. It was published in 1817, the collection of stories Monday Tale. And the literary period is 19th century naturalism. Genre is short story. The climax is French will be banned in school and antagonists of the story are the Prussians. Okay. Antagonists means who are villains and protagonists means who are heroes or the main character. Now the main themes that as I told you, linguistic chauvinism, cultural language is one theme. Next theme is patriotism and resistance. The next theme is patriotism and resistance. Like through this story and through the character of France, Daudet explores multifaceted nature of patriotism resistance. Through the character of M. Hamel, who is the teacher, he's presented as the leader of the resistance who fights the subjugation by taking pride in his language and teaching like eminently for the last time in during the last lesson. So, and other characters like France and villagers took pride in fighting the language imposition of German. So they too enrolled themselves to the school and they started learning the language. So that is how patriotism and resistance is revealed in the story. You will find the details in the notes how it is. Now in class 12, children, you must go by the themes of and details of the themes that I'll share on the portal. Because if you don't go by the details, it will be difficult for you to frame the answers. Because class 12 answer is not, you cannot frame answers like layman, like, or just write the context of the story. You have to make the answers creative by associating with different themes. That is why I'm focusing on the theme. And I have given you the note, I'll share it on the portal. Next is educational knowledge. Do you think educational knowledge is important? Definitely, because it is only through educational knowledge that you can fight anything. It is another power of resistance. Okay. So here, Franz, the little schoolboy who narrates Daudet's last lesson, is rather negligent pupil. Like he was a negligent student. He didn't take interest in studies, but he realized the importance of studies when he got to know that he won't be able to study his language forever. So that is why importance of education knowledge. Whenever you are given the opportunity to get educated and gain knowledge, you must not let go of it because you never know when the knowledge or education would be utilized. It is something which nobody can take it away from you by force. Like if it is in your head, can anybody snatch it away from you? No, they can tie you up in jail. They can put you in jail. They can torture you, but how will they take your brain? So that is why Daudet has focused here on this. Yes, yes, it is the portal of power. I told you it is another power for resistance. Another theme, just a second. Community and solidarity. What does this word mean? And community. Yes, very good. Here, uh, in this story, togetherness or unification is talked about a lot. And here you can see that the French villagers responding to restrictions to on their freedoms that have been imposed on them by foreign invaders are reacting to it. And France, a school teacher and other people and villagers gather in a classroom on the morning that news arrives that the French language will be banned. So it focuses on the community and solidarity of French people. Okay, so they unite and they bind together to resist the imposition of foreign language in their community. So that is how community and solidarity is another theme. And then that is all about the themes. Okay. Next, we'll talk. There are a few symbols used here. I'll talk about it in the while I teach. Like different symbols have been used in the chapter. The bulletin board is a symbol. The blackboard is a symbol. The classroom is a symbol. French language is a symbol. We'll discuss about it when we go through the lesson. Okay. Now let's start the lesson. France is the main character of the story. It's Alphonse Daudet's personal experience, but he has used the name France in the story to narrate. Why now? This question also comes. Why has Daudet used a young boy's image, France, in the story? This question has come. Yes, France is associated with France to highlight the term France. One thing, very good. Another thing is that the Daudet wanted to empathize, wanted the readers to empathize with the situation of France, and that's why he chose the pupil, like what trauma he went through when the language imposition took place. Okay, because generally, students like you have studied about Anne Frank. Okay, so you studied about the Holocaust victims and how she wrote. You have not studied the entire novel, but a part of her novel. But even though you have studied the part, why like Anne Frank's diary was one of the successful books of the time because it was portrayed through a 13-year-old girl's sentiment. So that is how Alphonse Daudet came too had the same concept that how like he would make the readers very engrossed to the inhuman treatment done by the Prussians over the French people. Like taking away someone's language is definitely inhuman. Okay, so that is how he chose. You can, but you don't have the story here, so the comparison won't be given. But comparison with some other character can be given if you study in your course. Okay, like there is a chapter called Memories of Childhood. There it is story of Zidkalasa and Bama. Both are the stories of discrimination and racism. So like snatching away their liberty. So that can also be compared with France's story. This is how the questions comes in the board. Two characters can be chosen from two lessons, and then you have to analyze, okay, or draw out the similarity or differences. Now, in the scene one, Little France is late for school. This is just the synopsis. I'll do the details in the next class. I'll give you the synopsis first. Little France is late for school. He was supposed to prepare with participles. Synopsis is like just a gist, small thing, small picture. Yes. Yeah, you can write it. Synopsis is a briefing. Okay. SIS. So France, the little boy was late for school and he didn't have any inclination to go towards school. He was very reluctant to go to school. Why? Because he was supposed to prepare the grammar topic participles and he was afraid of a strict and stern teacher, M. Hamel. He knew that if he would not be able to answer the question, he would be punished. So he was thinking to skip the school. So while going towards the school, he was tempted with the bright summer day outside. It was a warm climate and it was perfect for a picnic. So he saw the open field, the sawmill, and the Prussian soldiers were drilling. Now, when he saw the Prussian soldiers drilling, then too he never knew what was going to happen to him. Drilling means doing maneuvers, like the soldiers do different stunts and maneuvers. That is known as drilling. Like you must have seen even in movies or TV, like how the soldiers practice in their regular regimentation. Okay, that is what. So he resisted temptations outside the warm temperature and the bright climate and the nice weather, he resisted those temptations and hurried to school. There, before going to school, he found a large bulletin board. A bulletin board is something where the news information used to be put up. Those times there were no TV. So all the information were put up on the bulletin board of the town hall, which is the center of the, like it is the capital town, you can say, where all the important informations were shared. So there was a large bulletin board where all the notifications were pinned. Okay. So everybody gathered there. Like if you have seen some age old movies there, earlier newspapers were pinned on particular area of the town. Okay. So people used to go there, have some cup of tea and read all those stuff there because that time there was no television. Okay. So bulletin board supplied all bad news from the last 2 years, lost battles, drafts, orders of the commanding officer. Now Franz thought that what could be the matter now? Everything he knew that all the bad news were coming there. Now he was wondering what new thing is there now. So he saw a blacksmith coming on his way, working with his apprentice, and he tells Franz that don't go so fast, bub. Bub is the local slang used there. Slang, I would say, like the common language, not the abusive language. Okay, so he just got very sarcastic with Franz, and he said that you will get to school in plenty of time. There is a sarcasm here. Okay, because he knew what is going to happen. Franz didn't knew. But Franz thought that he's teasing him, so he ignored him and he rushed to school. When he reached school, he found the school to be a different scene. Now, generally, what is the picture of a school? What things happen in school? Yes, talking and the sound of the ruler or the desk or buzzing sound of the children talking, teacher teaching like that. So it was not like that. Everything was ironic there. Silence, it was silent like a Sunday morning. Generally, why Sunday morning is used? Because Sunday is the week of day where when it is a holiday and everything, definitely the school won't be active on Sunday. So there was no usual commotion, no rapping of teacher's ruler, no regular bustle, no opening and closing of desks. Now, when he went inside, he saw M. Hamel's changed behavior. Now, what is the changed behavior he noticed? M. Hamel was a strict and stern teacher. Now, suppose if you get late to the school, your teacher would ask you first, right? Why are you late? Where have you been? Or he would either punish you. But nothing happened as such. When Franz expected that he was expecting that he was late to school and he was expecting that during the commotion, he would just slid down somewhere. Like, होता है ना कि बहुत बिजी बसल चल रहा है, chaotic क्लास है, उसके बीच में हम पीछे से कहीं बैकडोर से एंट्री करके बैठ जाए. That happens, right? It is common. It is common in schools. But that was not the situation. फ्रांस का सारा प्लान खराब हो गया यहाँ. उसने जो सोचा था वो हुआ ही नहीं. क्लास बिल्कुल साइलेंट था. सब children were at their place. There were no commotion. M. Hamel was roaming with his terrible ruler, and then Franz ultimately asked for permission to get in. So he was very nervous and like he was intimidating that time. That hello. Okay. So that is what happened. Like he was very intimidating that time that M. Hamel would scold him or give him one slap or beat him with his ruler. But nothing happened. Like contradictory to his expectation, he wasn't being scolded for getting late. Rather, M. Hamel say, "Go to your place, little Franz. We were beginning without you." He was very compassionate towards Franz, which was strange. When it is obvious when a strict and stern teacher become very compassionate towards you, and the behavior would change, then you would be surprised that what happened. Why is he behaving in such a way today? So that was Fran's position here. So next, when he enters the class, he saw M. Hamel to be different than the ordinary days. He was wearing the French attire, as you can see in the picture. He was wearing the French attire. Okay, beautiful green coat, frilled shirt, little black silk cap, all embroidered. This is the French attire. He was all dressed up like a Frenchman. Okay, so he was not able to understand that is it a marriage ceremony going on. Generally, people get dressed up with such things during some occasion or some parties or functions. So, and the students in the class, the back benches, which generally was remained empty, were occupied by people. The another contradictory thing that he noticed in the classroom. Now, this will come. What contradictory things did Franz notice in the classroom? The empty benches were covered by villagers, which was not very obvious to happen. Okay, people were sitting quietly like students. Like in the classroom, only we expect the students to sit. But just imagine in the primary classroom, old Hauser, who is a villager, like an adult, he was sitting in his three-cornered hat, which is another French element. Okay. The former mayor of the town was also there. Former postmaster. The word former has been used. Why? Because France has lost the battle to Prussia. And that's why the word former has been used. Now they are the mayor. Yes. Obviously, there will be new mayor and new postmaster and all. So this would come. Who? Mayor. Yes. No, he would be changed. That's why he's going away. Okay. He will learn in the story that he's packing his things and he's going away from France. Okay. Because the next day onwards, there would be a German teacher who would teach German. That time, the what you can say, vernacular dialect was very important. You know, like nowadays in school, you study different language, like you study English, Hindi, and other subjects, French, everything. But that time in those era, the vernacular dialect was given importance. Vernacular here refers to like the regional dialect. Okay. So the former postmaster and many other, they all looked very sad. They had brought their primers, a diary kind of thing, or the primary old book. Now, what does it signify? That education was lacking in France. So, because of the lack of education, they were repenting, and they did not take their language very serious. So, it's a lesson for everyone. Now, M. Hamel announced in a grave and gentle tone, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow. As I told you, the French master would go and the German master would come. So this is your last French class. I want you to be very attentive." His words were thunderclap to France. Thunderclap here refers to shock. Okay. France regretted for not learning. Now he understood the importance of his language. The importance of linguistic chauvinism. He realized here that he said that my books that had seemed such a nuisance a while ago, so heavy to carry, my grammar and my history of the saints, were old friends now that I couldn't give up. So the books which he used to ignore, he doesn't want to give up it anymore. He want to clinch to it and learn more. So this happens, that when time and tide waits for none, you never know what will happen with time. So we must utilize each and every moment of the time that we get. If we are getting time to study now or gain knowledge, like gather resources, we must utilize it, because in the later run, we'll be so occupied with the competitive world that you will find it hard to study further, or that time you won't have the precious moment or the free moment that you have right now. So let's utilize each and every time. M. Hamel, too, the idea that he was going away, that should never see him again, made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. Cranky refers to how strict and stern and irritable he was. So when he realized that M. Hamel was, even if you have enough hatred for a teacher who's very strict and stern, you often get irritated with the personality. But later, much later, you will realize that had that teacher not been strict with you, you won't have been able to gain the knowledge that you had. So that is what Franz was also realizing. Love for the lost nation. It was in the honor of his last lesson that he had put on the Sunday clothes. The old people from village had gathered as they were sorry that they had neglected school and to pay respect to the old master for his 40 years of faithful service. So while the old people had gathered there in the classroom to pay honor and respect to M. Hamel, who had been teaching for 40 years. And he won't be teaching anymore because French was not allowed that time in Lorraine and Alsace. Now, M. Hamel questions Franz on participles. Franz thought that he would speak confidently, like when we get that moment, okay, I'll do it now. But we failed. Like we'll do it at any cost. But we fail. Why? Because obviously we didn't have that much practice or we didn't have that much preparation to crack. Like in the movie 12 Fail, if you have seen that movie, I always give this example. The candidate prepared very hard and he was very sure that he will, like he had prepared English essays so well that he thought that he would be definitely excelling in his written main examination. But what happened? Even like his preparation was not up to the mark. He read the question wrong and he wrote a wrong answer, and that is how he got eliminated. So that happens. Like when we don't utilize the preparation in the right way, then we get mixed up. So Franz got mixed up on the very first word. He was sorry for not being able to speak and could not face and hammer. People of Alsace who kept learning for tomorrow. Procrastination is another theme. Please write down. Procrastination. People of Alsace and Lorraine had an intention of procrastinating things. Procrastination means delaying. Procrastination. Procrastination. Parents prefer to put their children on fields rather than studying. Blames himself for not taking his classes seriously. And M. Hamel also blames himself. Like he also used to neglect students' learning. He often used to give punishments to the children to water plants in his garden or to help him in fishing. So he too did not utilize the students' time. So he blames himself as well. He reproaches himself. Okay. And parents prefer to put their children on fields rather than making them learn or making them focus on study. Sending students to water his plants and giving holidays when he wished to go for fishing. That's how M. Hamel blames himself. M. Hamel praises French language. It is the most beautiful language in the world. This line is very important. Like, why does M. Hamel say it is the most beautiful language of the world? Is it like in truth, it is not the most beautiful language? Like, how can one say that it is one of the beautiful? Every vernacular people will say my language is the best language. So here he wants to emphasize that he loves French and France. He wants to depict patriotism through it. Okay. So the line symbolizes patriotism. And that's why he says it is the most beautiful language of the world. Please write it down. This line symbolizes patriotism. The clearest and the most logical language. We must guard it among us and never forget it. Because this language will be the weapon for resistance. He wanted to imply that. He mentions here in that when people are enslaved, as long as he hold fast, it depicts, it symbolizes patriotism and power of resistance. So it is as long as he hold fast his language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. So This is eminent in history also. Like once Poland was captured by an enemy land, and the people of Poland resisted to speak any other language other than Polish, and that is how they emancipated themselves. Okay, he brought new copies for all to give it all a new start. On copies, one had to practice handwriting. It was written in beautiful round hand, France Alsace, France Alsace. Under this, the beautiful round hand writing of France Alsace also depicts patriotism, where he wants to highlight the French culture or the French society. Okay, it looked like flags floating. Simile is used here, where in the school room hung from the rod at the top of our desk. Okay, everyone set to work. Everything was quiet. Only sound heard was the scratching of pen over the paper. Now, when they were studying, France was filled with admiration for M. Hamel. M. Hamel taught with patience, and he wanted to teach everything in one class. So France listened to him very attentively, and it seemed that he knew so many things in the language. Now, while learning, he makes a satirical remark. What is satirical remark? A humor which points out some criticism. Okay, that is satire. He says that German can force animals and birds to speak in the German. Like, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? So it's a sarcastic comment. What he is trying to say is that humans can only control humans, and it is only the humans who cannot give emancipated life to everybody, who cannot give liberty to everybody. It is only the human mind. Hello? Hi, Manji. So he was pitting the state and the condition of French people where being humans were forced to change their language and birds were still free to converse in their own language. All right. So we'll carry on in the next class.